produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the QATV staff or board of directors. QATV, in compliance with FCC regulations, is prohibited from exercising control over the content of independent, member-produced public access programming.
Welcome, I'm your host for this evening. My name is Frank Hogan, and tonight's show is called the Redmen of Boston, and I'm very fortunate to have the Redmen of Boston here with me tonight. We're all from different backgrounds, but we all belong to one family, and it's the family of football, and the team we support is Liverpool. But before I go on telling you about 60 years, 70 years nearly of history of Liverpool and football and my girlfriends and everything else, I'd like to introduce you to our co-host, Rob Glover, and let Rob take it from here.
Thanks very much, Frank.
Pleasure, Robbie.
So yeah, as I say, we're here now, or as Frank said, the Redmen of Boston, and we're going to be talking about some real football, the kind that we play with our feet. You know, none of this throw ball business over here in the States. But no, I'm joined with a few lads here today. So we've got Sam, we've got Kev, we've got Oshin, and we've got Tim. How you doing, fellas? All right, yeah? Good.
Happy to be here.
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
What a handsome crowd, eh? What a handsome crowd we have. Rob, let's start off. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you were born and how you got to know Liverpool? And
Absolutely, mate. So as you can tell, I'm not from around these parts. You know, originally I was born in Liverpool. So I was born and bred wearing a Liverpool shirt, and I've been going to games since I was a little kid. My granddad and my great-granddad had season tickets at Liverpool, and then they were passed down to me, so both tickets are now in my name, and you know, it's something that's a huge passion of mine as well, especially from the club, beginning right the way through my whole life. It's always been a part of every journey that I've been on in my whole life so far. But moving over to Boston was definitely kind of a life-changing thing for me. I've been here now for 6 years, and from day one, yeah, mate, it does. From day one that I landed in Boston, I knew I had to find a place where I could get me fix, so to speak. You know, and I did. I came across the pub, and there was a couple of members there at the time, and you know, a couple of Scouse lads, a couple of Scousers, people from Liverpool, a couple of Scouse lads put their arms around me and welcomed me home. You know, so Boston's now my home away from home, and I get to watch the match with my extended family. You know, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What we'll do is we'll go down the line, if it's okay. If you want to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you're from, and then how you became a Liverpool fan, to be honest. So we'll shoot back down that end. Sam, mate, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, so I was born in Slidell, Louisiana, which is just north of New Orleans. Not a real big hotbed for the real football. American football is pretty big in those parts, but you know, ever since I was a kid, I was really into the game. My parents kind of encouraged us to play it. And my brother was always a big Arsenal fan. He really liked Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry. But I wasn't having any of that, that's for sure. So when I was younger, I didn't really have a club. But I remember watching the few games that came on. It'd be the Big Four. And if Liverpool played, I'd always really feel a connection to Anfield. It was really difficult for me to watch those games and not feel, you know, just how intense the atmosphere was. And I remember this one game watching with my brother. It was Arsenal-Liverpool. I forgot the exact year, but it was a year where Arsenal was just really dominating the league. Liverpool had a ton of injuries. You know, everybody was predicting a big win for Arsenal. And we went down twice and came back twice. And I think it was like a Emile Heskey header to tie it, like very late in the game, like 88th minute, right in front of the cop. And everybody just went nuts. And that was really the moment that I was like, all right, this is the club that I'm going to follow. And
Brilliant.
you know, so I moved up here to go to college about 6-7 years ago almost, and sort of the same boat as you, Rob. You know, looking for a place to watch Liverpool games, and came across the Phoenix Landing and was just sort of blown away. You know, it was always fun watching games with my mom on the couch at home, but watching it with hundreds of other Liverpool fans for the first time was something that I'll never forget. And walking into Phoenix was pretty awesome.
You found yourself a home away from home as well, eh?
Absolutely, and now, you know, some of my best friends I have in Boston are part of LFC Boston, so it's definitely been a really big part of my life, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. Cheers, mate.
Just one more. Sound you're a movie maker yourself, aren't you?
Well, yes.
Yes, yeah. Come on, tell us. Don't be shy about it.
So this summer I went to, pretty much traveled all across Latin America with 3 of my friends from college, a couple journalists, a couple filmmakers, and the film we're producing is essentially a documentary about Latin American football and how it relates back to the United States, because, you know, Latino culture is such a growing part of our culture, and we want to look at sort of how they play football, you know, where their passion for the game comes from, because that's going to sort of direct how the game here develops, as well as, you know, how the passion for the game here develops.
This was during the World Cup you went?
Yeah, we went up, you know, I think 3 months before the World Cup, we crossed over into Mexico and Tijuana.
You drove in a van?
No, we flew most of the way. The logistically and, you know, price-wise was a little too much to drive.
Yeah,
unless you want to get a taxi like Kevin did.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a minute.
They're not very cheap, those taxis.
That's a story there.
But it seems the same story coming out always ends up that we feel family amongst each other.
Absolutely.
And I feel this, and I know this, you know. And what about Kevin here? Kevin is one of my favourite men. Not in that way. no.
I'm glad about that, sorry.
Kevin, like, he goes to some of the great little grounds like West Ham in England, some of the football grounds like Fenway. That's a special ground, isn't it? Yes. Anfield is the most special of all grounds. Absolutely. It really is, for a number of reasons. It's the holy ground, for one thing, because we started off at the St. Domingos and couldn't play Sunday, so they had the Salvation Army come down. They played music. We said it was a church meeting, and the people, like, the people just followed us and came to us, and we look after each other. And how do you feel about it, Kev? Tell us a little bit. You come from Ireland,
Yeah,
don't you?
well, originally I was...
What part of Ireland?
I was born in a place called Monaghan, which is on the northeast.
That's where all the sheep come from.
A lot of sheep, yes.
Turn the mic down.
So I was born in Ireland. I grew up in Ireland, and how I became a Liverpool fan basically was when you grew up in Ireland, you always supported a team it was the league, not the Premiership then, and you always dreamed about going over to play for one of the English teams. And how I became a Liverpool fan, my grandmother worked in this house where she was a housekeeper, and there was 5 sons in the house, and they all supported a team, and one was Manchester United, Manchester City, Derby County, Chelsea, and I think the other one was Nottingham Forest. So I couldn't pick any of those teams. That was 5 out. So I watched this guy playing for Liverpool, Steve Highway, who was originally from Ireland, and I said, that's my team right there. And it grew into a passion, which I still love, and I've had the good times in the early years, in the 70s and 80s, and now we're through the barren years, I like to call them. You know.
We've suffered though with them over times, haven't we,
We've
Kevin?
suffered a lot lately, yeah.
Kevin was recently in London, and he went to the West Brom match, and Liverpool got beat, but we watched the whole game, and the very last shot of the game, they go into the crowd, and they pick out the happiest of the West Brom fans, and they pick out the most dismal, dejected of the Liverpool fans.
I won
and
that.
who was it? Kevin's face.
Kevin won that.
Yeah, Kevin's face went round the world as the most dejected fan. And really,
Absolutely.
Kev, you were stunned.
Well, in the day of instant media, I was out of the stadium 10 minutes, and Kieran from Liverpool, who came down to the game with us, says, "You're on Facebook." And I went, "What are you talking about?" And next thing, he shows me the picture that was on the TV, seemingly, and some kid that was distorted by his size in the background. So yeah.
It was Tim was at the game.
Yeah.
I was there, Tim and Robert at the game. We were in the Phoenix, and we were watching the game, and we were disappointed, to say the least. You know, yeah. When you're allowed to get disappointed, but at the end of the game, when your face came on, it was the bar erupted, Kevin. The bar, you'd think a goal would be scored, and it's Kevin, that's
glad
Kevin.
I made someone happy.
And this, by the way, the bar that he's referring to is actually Kevin is the owner of the Phoenix Landing as well. It's something I'd like to talk a little bit about. He's the guy that puts the roof over our heads at LFC Boston as well. So, what I guess I'd like to ask you, Kev, is how did that come about? I mean, why did we start showing the games there, and what happened?
Well, we used to, when I moved into Boston in 1993, they're only showing recordings of the game in a place called the Plough and Stars, which is still there. So we used to go down on a Saturday afternoon, they used to show it at 3 o'clock.
We're two, Kevin.
The Plough and Stars, it's still in on Mass Ave in near Central Square.
I won't go to that.
Well, I will not get into that, Frank.
Yeah. No, it was to do when the Abbey players were supposed to come over, and the Plough and Stars was supposed to be some of the sponsors of them, and they didn't, and that was me with the Plough and Stars, and I've never been since. But it's your Cambridge, you go where you like.
Yeah.
I used to come right here in Quincy. We had a great club called Bad Abbots, and it was Peter Kerr that owned it. You know Peter, yeah. And it was right over the road here, and it was a super place. But he used to charge us $20 to go in. He made a lot of money, and it was out in the car parks. And it was a great time, and that was it. McCann's downtown. But so you were the Plough and Stars here in Quincy, which was the Bad Abbots. Then go ahead. My wife's signaling me in the
actually,
back,
the Irish Embassy used to show a lot of games as well. So basically, we opened the Phoenix in 1995, what am I thinking? 1995, and there was definitely a need to be showing soccer because it was getting popular, but nothing like it is now. And I went to the World Cup in 2002, and I remember coming back early, and the USA were playing Germany, and it was an 8 o'clock kickoff, and we had a line about 2 blocks.
Wow.
At 7 in the morning.
7 o'clock in the morning.
And I twigged to me, I said, there's a need for someone to start showing soccer. And we started showing the soccer, and probably the most famous day ever in the Phoenix was the day Liverpool won the Champions League in 2004. If anyone that was there that day will tell you it was the best day ever at the Phoenix. And
I heard you pretty much opened the bar out that day as well, mate. Is that kind
there's
of
a rumour that I
there's
left it an open bar for a few hours after that, and the memory went after.
I don't think words could explain that.
No.
It really couldn't. That would have had to been filmed and watched it several times to digest it, because that was one of the greatest games.
We'll get back to the Champions League final in a couple of minutes, though. It's all subject to the Champions League with what's going on recently. But yeah, mate. So. Outside the Liverpool games, I know that you show a lot of the.
We show every game,
as well.
And soccer's got really popular, but now the growth of Liverpool and its connections to Boston, and the LFC Boston guys have been fantastic. It's just growing unbelievable. Like you see the lines at 6 in the morning to come in to watch a game at 8. Like there's a lot of passion there, and we've become a real family. Everyone has mentioned it.
We've had tremendous support from the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Tremendous support from them. That I think they're as happy with us as we are with them. Would you say?
I would say so, yeah.
Now, how this started, could you describe how it started, the team itself, Tim? What's your you the manager, the CEO, or?
I'm an elected chairperson for the club, for LFC Boston.
You're all elected chairperson.
I am.
Yeah.
And
so you should be sitting right up in the middle with the crown on your head.
and a flag behind me.
Yeah, crown on your head. Tell us how it came about.
I guess I moved here in 2006. I had been here in 2005 when I was doing a master's in college. I came over here for a semester.
You moved here from where?
I was in college in Limerick in Ireland. I'm from Kildare.
That's a shame, but
and one of the first things I'd looked for online was a place that was showing Liverpool games. And a couple of bars came up, but the closest one to me was the Phoenix Landing. So I walked over one morning, and there was maybe about 15 or 20 Liverpool fans there. And I was very shy because it was kind of intimidating. They all knew each other, and I sat at the far end of the bar, didn't talk to anyone, went home. But I came back next week, and the following week I met a guy, he's passed away now, but his name is Marty Collins. And Marty introduced me to everyone.
He was the first person I met as well, actually.
Was?
Oh, yeah.
Marty was from Liverpool, but unfortunately passed away 4 years ago.
Young man.
And as I got to know people more and more, they were trying to get organised, but it was kind of, I felt a lot of people were running in the same direction but not together. So we decided about getting a committee together and getting organised, and we did that very quickly. And by the end of 2007, we had a logo, we had a website. Facebook had just started, so we were able to get it on Facebook, and I think because of Facebook itself, we were able to connect with so many other fans, and we used to do crazy things. I remember we had everyone on the committee at the time. Everyone used to have flyers in their back pocket, and for about a year or two, anytime you were walking in Boston or Cambridge or wherever, you saw someone in a Liverpool shirt, you'd literally run across the road to them, give them the flyer and be like, do you know about the Phoenix Landing? And sure enough, they nearly always said no. And it grew from 20, 30, 40 people to, we've a member base of nearly 300 people now, which is nearly twice the capacity of the bar we're at. So it's just so popular, and as Kevin said, we've gone from filling maybe a quarter of a bar at Liverpool games 9 years ago to, if people don't show up 2 hours before a game now, they're probably not going to get into the bar.
Probably not going to get in at all, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing, what fascinates me about that is that, I can just picture the scene all around Cambridge, and just all of a sudden somebody in a Liverpool shirt come running right at you and handing you the flag. Do you know about the Phoenix Landing?
Yeah.
No, not a clue, sorry, But it has, man, and, outside of just giving out flyers and different things like that, and then obviously you're talking about Facebook, but can you tell us a little bit about where it came today and what it is that you're responsible for doing?
Yeah, so I guess I'm in charge mainly of delegating work. We've a very good committee. We've a committee of 11 members, and they all do different things. Over the years, we've grown to do a lot of charity work. So we've worked with a lot of local charities. We work with America Scores Boston. We're going to be working with a couple of food pantries as we get towards Thanksgiving this year. This year we've already done stuff with Boston Children's Hospital. We've done things like the AIDS Walk and the Walk for Hunger and stuff like that. And we've also worked with a couple of charities back in Liverpool, the Jamie Carragher 23 Foundation.
The LFC Foundation itself, with the lads over as well.
Yep. So all in all, over the last couple of years, we've raised over $10,000 for charity, which is great for a club that, I always tell people I got it going with about $10 of my own money when we did print our first membership cards. Kevin was very good. He used to chip in for the t-shirts back when we were broke and trying to get going. But now we're a bit more self-sufficient now. So we do that sort of stuff, and then we try and do events outside of the landing too. We've always tried to organise a lot of golfing, things like that. We also have a thing called, it's a lot of fun, but generally once a month or thereabouts, when Liverpool aren't playing that weekend, we generally meet up on a Friday night. We call it Thirsty Friday, and we go to a bar somewhere else in Boston, not the Phoenix Landing, just to try and get to know each other outside of the landing, and also to let other bars know about our club and how great the club is and all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
Big outreach.
big outreach.
Absolutely big outreach. Well, thanks very much for sharing that, mate. So, a couple of different things, lads. You know, I know that we skipped over Oisin there a little minute, but we're going to come back to you in a second.
Oisin's our hero. This is our hero. This is our absolute hero.
Indeed. Well, Kev, mate, I'd like you to introduce him.
Well, this is my son Oisin, who he didn't have much choice in who he was going to support, really. He did threaten once to become a Tottenham fan, but he can tell you about himself better than me.
Mate. No, take it away, buddy.
Well, I'm 15 years old. I'm from Belmont. And Liverpool's been a huge part of my life. There's been the ups and the downs, obviously. But just being a part of such a close-knit family in the Phoenix Landing, it's just been an honor. And getting up Saturday and Sunday mornings is one of the best part of my week. And, you know, if they lose, I don't really care. It's just being with them is the best. And it's a big part of my life.
Community outreach and that side of things, mate. Cool. So outside of well, soccer, football, right? I know you play a little bit of golf as well. Can you elaborate on that a bit more, mate?
Yeah, golf is definitely my favorite sport to play, and I like to play that nearly every day when I can. But Liverpool is definitely my favorite. Soccer is definitely my favorite sport to watch. If I could pick one.
Yeah, watching golf is not quite as exciting, really, is it?
He won't tell you, he's junior club champion. He's pretty.
That's where I was going, absolutely. Junior club champion. Tell us a little bit more about him then, Kev.
He's a good soccer player too. They won today 4-1 against a team that was undefeated, so he played pretty good today. He set up a goal. He's a great kid. He enjoys coming down to the Phoenix, and he has his own views on the game, and he knows the game.
Knows the game inside out.
He's not afraid to say what he's thinking about the game, and telling me that I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about sometimes, but that's good to hear. But Frank says that all the time.
Yeah. I'm real fond of Olsen, but you coach soccer too, don't you, Kevin?
I coached for many years.
Yeah, for many years. That's one thing I like about the traditions that you've kept on of Liverpool. Because Rob will tell you, the supporters club and the fans in Liverpool are very involved in the city, in the hospitals, and in charities. And I know when I was coming to Tim and somebody, I was asking you, what are you doing to charity? You were doing this, and I'd never seen a penny spent. And they say, oh, we're doing it. And I didn't realize it was, and they are, and they're doing a great job of it. And I should have known, because we're brothers, aren't we, in Liverpool?
Yes.
So I'm really pleased with the charitable work that you're doing. And Kevin gives a lot of time to the soccer and to the kids. He misses matches for it, don't you?
I used to miss a lot of matches.
Dedicated, yeah. But, you know.
Well, the funny thing is that if you ever watched our team train, especially in the autumn, they'd be all wearing Liverpool hats that I got them.
He's created his own little red army, you see. It's basically what it is.
And I've converted a lot of them. Yeah, they were all Barcelona, a lot of the Hispanic kids. So
what do we think the Red Sox think about us?
Yeah,
I get on great with them. I speak to many of them, and I went to the dinners, and we all went to the what do they call it? The room there at Fenway Park. I met all the players. They seem as impressed with us.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it was a great thing as well. So Liverpool Football Club, they just, obviously it's the owners, what we're referring to there is John Henry and,
Warner.
The whole of the, Tom Warner as well. The whole Red Sox Foundation as well, in terms of the charity side of things. It's kind of full circle. It's the whole way that the organisation's run, and now what they're creating with that back over in Liverpool is a fantastic feat in itself. But the outreach and the approach and the feel of what the owners now at the Red Sox are doing with Liverpool Football Club has got something very, very similar to that run. So hopefully, there's a Premier League title just down the road. There's another Champions League trophy to be won, just as the way they got the World Series trophies here for the Red Sox. Ground development. Anfield's getting redeveloped, Frank, as well. So,
Well, speaking of ownership, the vice president of the Red Sox, David Ginsburg, attends games in the Phoenix often, unnoticed, no one knows him, and he loves the atmosphere and has told me that many times. And he's a big supporter of the club too.
Whereabouts is he from?
He's from, I think, Weston or something like that.
Is the Ginsberg, they start off in the Brookline Ginsbergs, possibly?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where he lives.
I know how I noticed him, he never pays his bill. He walks out, yeah, millions and walks out. I do.
He never gets around in either, does he, Frank? I tell you.
One thing we agree, that we welcome everybody to be part of Liverpool. You're like a big family, you know. And then if you go to Liverpool and you got a shirt, you walk into a place to buy, become a family. You go to Spain, you go to Italy. It's become a small world, and everybody will recognize you and welcome you into the place. You know, as part of you were in Brazil. Welcome to his brothers.
Yes, we had a great time in Brazil, yeah.
West Ham. I like West Ham.
Well, actually, West Ham seemed to be a lot nicer than the old West Ham I used to go watch.
Yeah, well, you know, those days, you know, we progressed in certain things, Kev.
Yeah.
You know, we get up in the mornings and we shave and we shower now. We don't get thrown out the pub.
I'm going to stop you on that tandem really quickly. I don't know where you're going there, mate, to be honest.
Can we show that next clip in there, Gracie, please? Let's watch a little clip. I like putting these clips in because there's Stevie G, the boy. Me and him suffer.
We all do with you. Look at that. Is that the Liverpool game at Fenway?
That's Liverpool at Fenway.
This year or a few years ago?
This was the quickest sellout the Fenway ever had. Did you know that?
Yeah, that was the first time they were here. That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but the person who sold out quicker before Liverpool, it was Paul McCartney. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he sold Fenway out the quickest ever. These are people lining up to go into the bar, and is that Artie in there? No. They say that's a borum, which is an instrument, the Irish instrument, and the flag. We wanted to show that for Sam.
Indeed.
And I'd say
the lone American.
The lone American.
The lone American on the panel this evening. Definitely not the lone American in the pub, yeah.
We are outnumbered by them. Is that good-looking guy?
There's a young
That's a few years ago.
That's a few years ago.
That little guy.
Look at that, mate.
You know what I'm pointing out?
Who's that homeless?
This. Yeah.
Francis, you always liked your homemade signs, didn't you?
No. What the sign is behind, it's
a nice tea cozy on your head as well.
Is half a mile up the road is Harvard Stadium, and Harvard Stadium was founded by Cotton Mather, a Liverpool guy. So, and then a mile the other way is Boston College, and the Boston College song was sung by and written by an Irish Liverpool guy, R.J. Hurley. He was at BC. He wrote the song. Big Liverpool fan as well. So he wrote the song. So I'm trying to point out how you mightn't think you know Liverpool living in Boston, but if you know Titanic,
definitely kindred spirits, eh?
Cambridge, Boston, Quincy. It doesn't make any difference where you live. BC was found. Their song was done by a Liverpool fellow, a Scouser.
So what you're trying to say is us Scousers and us Liverpool lads, we get around, right? Is that
we
what
do.
you're telling us?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, well,
I see what you're saying.
Liverpool, we trained up at Harvard grounds, and I think it would have been nice if the team would have known they were playing on an institution that was founded by Liverpool. You know, just little, and you know the Kennedys came to Boston from Liverpool, so there's a lot of reasons for people to like Liverpool and to like the club. Like 8 million people shipped out of Liverpool into the US. It was the last port of call, I say, including the Kennedys. Titanic was a Liverpool ship as well. You know, John, George, Paul, and Ringo. But you know, the best reason to become a Liverpool fan because of one great big family, aren't we? Eh?
That's true.
And like that, is that out? Absolutely. Come on, show the clip in there. No, I'm trying to point out how fun I am with you guys, and throw a little bit of Liverpool because we've been here a little bit longer than most people know. The Red Sox, their biggest supporters club, was out of a bar, an Irish bar in Fenway, Huntington Heaven. It was called Nuff Said Murphy's. And at the game days, all the Irish people put a three-piece suit on, they'd put a top hat on, and they'd put the ticket in the top hat, and they'd march to Huntington Avenue, whatever the field is in Huntington Avenue. They'd march from the bar, close the bar, and they'd march to it. And we do the similar, we're just kind of carrying on a tradition, but we march to Liverpool. Just little hints, these nuggets. Can you show it? Come on, Gracie. We have a great, there we go. There we go. Can we have sound? This is singing of Stevie Highway here. And then we sing the Never Walk Alone.
For many years, as Liverpool supporters, have wandered round Massachusetts. We started off in the village coach house, then we were up at the Boyne in Brighton, and then we had Henry Varian's place, and then we had the in Quincy, Peter Kerr's place, Pat Abbott, but we've never really had a solid place of our own, and we couldn't ask for a better place, and we couldn't have a better man, so we have to thank you, Kevin.
Well, Liverpool fans, here we are. Finally, Liverpool has made it to Fenway. I'm here at Fenway Park with a couple of friends of mine, one of them being Ted Williams. Ted, what did you think of, there's a man, Ted, what did you think of today's game against Manchester United?
And this is just to show the people that may see this at Liverpool.
Thank you, Ted.
This is the real Fenway Park.
Let me tell you,
And
this
these
is
are
a great
statues
place,
of some of
this
the great
Fenway
players.
Park.
Of
I know we have a
Fenway,
lot of
heroes
tradition
of
in
them.
Liverpool.
One
I
of
am
them I
a
know is Ted
Scouser.
Williams.
It's the
Anybody else know
greatest
him?
club in the
Any other
world
names?
and the greatest fans. But I'm sure once you get over here and step inside these hallowed grounds,
I know
Fenway,
that name.
face the Green Wall and see some of the history,
I'm sure everybody in
you'll become
America
fans
knows
of
who Bill
Fenway like
Shankly, Bill
myself.
Paisley is.
So
But you know, they stick with this show. We'll tell them who they are. We will learn the big thing more. We've got brothers in Fenway. When this is over, we're going to wrap up. Might just nod.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say if you've got a favourite player, what you'd like to say. Olsen with the ball.
There you go, a nice little clip there for sure. So basically, fellas, we are coming towards the end of this show this evening. It's been great having a little chat with you, you know, trying to get to know and where we're going to go with this in the future will be pretty exciting, to be honest.
Sure.
But, you know, we're in the 2014-15 season right now. The only thing I'm going to ask you straight away is how do you see the season playing out, Tim?
I see it similar to last year. Last year we everyone thinks we were blowing away people all season long. That's not true. We didn't start winning 3 or 4-0 to the end of December into Christmas. Then we lost back-to-back against Chelsea, Man City, and it wasn't until January. We started on that terrific run. I think it's going to be the same. Unfortunately, I'd love to see us win the league. I think it's a bit beyond us this year, but I definitely think top 4 and Champions League and the FA Cup or a League Cup at the end of the season.
And with you there, mate, hopefully so. How about the addition of Europe and the size of the squad?
Yeah, I'm very excited. They made some good additions to the squad, much needed. I think Brendan Rodgers himself is on a managerial discovery this year, learning about 2 games a week and how to manage the squad. I think he's been a bit unfortunate with a couple of key injuries before the season started. So a lot of players he signed weren't able to get a proper pre-season. Daniel Sturridge has been out for the last 5 games. So I think there's a bit of learning to do, but he's the man for us. I think he'll turn it around, and it's just great to be back in Europe too.
No, absolutely it is. Sam, mate, I'm going to throw it over to you. What are your thoughts?
You know, I think if you look at the first 6 games of this season and the first 6 games of last season, we scored 8 goals total each season. And, you know, that kind of speaks to Tim's point where, sure, there were games last year that we dominated. You know, you think of those goals we scored 5 goals against, or those games we scored 5 goals against Arsenal and Spurs. You know, those weren't really indicative of the way we started the season. And I think, you know, we're going to have to really expect that, especially now playing on 2 separate fronts. You know, you have the domestic league, and, you know, now we have to worry about the rigors of going to a lot of difficult grounds across Europe, and hopefully, you know, it won't be a short European season. But it'll be more challenging than last year for sure. And I think, you know, early on this season, we haven't really figured out what our back line is. I think that's going to be the biggest priority for Rogers going forward. And if you look at the way we attack, it's been a bit slow. It's been a bit labored at times. But I think that's more of just the fact there's so many new pieces. I don't think that we're going to really have to worry about putting the ball in the net. Obviously, losing somebody like Luis Suarez hurts, but I think there's enough quality there. We just have to be a bit patient. It can be frustrating at times, maybe, but I realistically think that we could be a top 4 club by the end of the season. And you know, not every team that finished around this last year is starting too hot this season as well. So
it seems to be pretty wide open, doesn't it, right now?
Exactly.
You know, the whole league, and that's probably the exciting thing about the whole league. You know, in general, you know, everybody's fighting for that top 4. I know you both mentioned top 4, but if you look, you know, at the way things have panned out at the start, there's a lot of nervous energy about. There's a lot going on, you know, especially with our not so close friends over at Manchester United and the demise of that. So we can only help but cackle. But anyway, we won't delve down that route, shall we? Kevin, we're talking a little bit more about you know, the changes that have been made. How do you think? I mean, Brendan Rodgers, he's got nowhere to hide now, has he? These are all his signings.
Yeah, I'm going to totally disagree with Tim and Sam. I think we bought a load of rubbish. We tried. Everyone was talking about our defence last year and the problems, and we've replaced them with 2 full-backs that have really not shown a lot to me. And they're getting out physical in a lot of these games. Lovren has been a letdown, who I actually like. Sacco already stormed off last week. What I think our real problem was in midfield, and we've already got injury to Can. We lost our best player probably since Dalglish, Suarez, and we've replaced him with a statue, Balotelli, who wouldn't run out of your way. Sturridge, we missed badly. I didn't think we were going to miss him as bad as we did.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
I'm afraid we have no hope of top 4. I'm lucky 8th or 9th. I'm not impressed. And Rodgers, I thought he got out coached last year against Chelsea, which granted it was Mourinho, and I haven't seen anything that really gives me any real hope that he is a top coach in the world.
Unfortunately, Kevin, I kind of agree with you there a little bit, mate. And I'm kind of in that fence and in that camp myself, you know. But only time will tell. Hopefully, there's going to be, you know, a little bit more. It's a huge test for Rodgers. Huge test for Rodgers. So, Oisin, mate, is your dad wrong again? Or
I'd have to disagree with my dad, as always.
As always, right? He prepped us on that before. But go ahead, mate.
I definitely think Liverpool have a chance at top 4. They did bring in players that need time to gel, but once, like, we didn't start off the season last year very well, but the team came together and they started moving, and win after win, started a streak, they got back. And I think definitely in the Champions League we could make a run as well. With I know we lost today, but we could definitely get out of the group second, make a run, and Anfield backing us. We could definitely.
Yeah, you think so? So how do you see that happening?
I think if we get back, Sturridge gets back, and he finds the net, and Balotelli starts to find his way in the Premier League again, and the Champions League, those two together could be like Suarez and.
Yeah, well, here's the hoping, eh? Here's the hoping indeed. I think it's the camaraderie. You know, that was a huge point last season. We saw a band of brothers, so to speak, very similar to the season that the Red Sox had. You know, and maybe all the Liverpool players just need to start growing beards. What do you think, fellas? Yeah. You know, there's 3 of us already. Yeah, we've already started it. Yeah. You know,
maybe
start
We've
growing
got
beards.
4
Yeah.
He can't start yet.
You could borrow some off. It was the American place for Everton.
I hope
Tim
so.
Howard. But it's Tim Howard.
Tim Howard.
I certainly hope my son's right, but I don't see it. And when do we go from going second to start talking about top 4 again? So we're going backwards.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, it's true indeed.
It's not the Liverpool I grew up loving.
Well, I don't have the time. You know, I just seriously don't have the time.
To play?
It's 20 years, and there's only one thing myself and I feel. There's only one thing I feel and I need, and I speak to everybody at home and the Liverpool people, and we want a premiership. Nothing else matters really to us.
That Premier League
You know,
title, eh?
the European can go buy us, we can miss charity shields, but what we need, and this year I was mortally wounded, Crystal Palace and then the Chelsea game, and I think Stevie Gerrard is the same way. We're both mortally wounded, and then Suarez comes, that's another nail in our box. But if the Red Sox people come up, give us the money, give us the support, and we get a few more Scousers playing like this little Rossiter guy, you know, bring him on.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, the youth, you know, we can go on for ages talking about that, the ands, ifs, buts and maybes. However, the bottom line is that, you know, win, lose or draw, we're all going to be sat there together. You know, that's the biggest thing. So if you do want to come on down, we're at the Phoenix Landing. You know, there's been information throughout the whole show. Again, we are all available throughout the usual channels, Facebook, Twitter, all of that above, right? But bottom line, from all of us here, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you'll never walk alone and you'll join us down at the Phoenix.
Yeah. And would you like to invite Atlanta clubs? And
oh, absolutely. Every single one of them, no matter what's going on. I mean, we are a unit, right, over in the whole of the United States.
There's other Redmen who started clubs in Washington, D.C., Nick. They have one, and then New York have the Redmen of New York.
19 official supporters clubs all over the whole of the United States.
Then there's Nashville, they have the club,
Yeah.
and then Atlanta have the club, and Billy Hogan of the Red Sox just came out with say there's 22 million Liverpool fans in the US. I didn't realise that.
And counting.
Pardon?
And counting.
One by one.
One by one,
Yeah.
mate. And
But,
by
you know,
one.
I would-
19 million after this show.
No, I would really like to encourage any LFC fans, whether they come from Liverpool, East Hopscotch, they come from the clubs in New York or DC, if they're up this way, come over and meet us, and we'd love to have you on the show as guests, because we're all brothers, aren't we?
That's it.
And, you know, we
Brothers
got
and
one big...
sisters. We can't forget the ladies as well, you know.
The lady we have to... But there's one big thing tonight that we have to do, don't we, Sam?
It is.
Don't we, Kevin?
Yes.
Who wants to set this up?
I don't know,
think
chat about the
guy
ball,
that
eh?
caught the ball.
You want to give him the guy who caught the ball.
Want to set this up
get a
here?
quick close-up
Oh, man.
on O'Sheen.
This is magic. I always
Then you get
prayed.
a close-up of what's on the ball.
What's on the ball?
Let me see. This one here. If you can get a close-up of that.
Zoom in, Carol. Keep zooming in. Keep zooming.
Maybe the lights are too bright. Isn't it?
Can you zoom in on it, Andrew?
So to give you a little bit of a story, ladies and gentlemen, this is actually the ball from the World Cup game. You want to tell us a little bit more about this one, O'Sheen, where you caught this ball?
Yeah. So I got the opportunity to go to the semi-final game between Brazil and Germany. And I got into the stadium and we found out that our seats were 4 rows from the goal. And so we had actually been talking before the game about what happens if we got a ball. It was pretty crazy that we had been saying that. But my dad was like, oh, I'd just take it, of course. And I was a little skeptical. Obviously, this is just hypothetically. But then we saw probably one of the most memorable games in World Cup history. And we were actually behind the goal that saw 6 of the 8 goals. And so in the 90th minute, Bernard for Brazil, he hit a terrible shot up to our...
Probably get a game for Liverpool right now with a shot like that.
I think so.
Sign him up.
I think we tried to sign him.
Yeah. So yeah, he hit this terrible shot.
Yeah.
So how's the crowd, the roar, the field? Is it? How many people at that game?
There was 60-something thousand, but the majority were not very happy because their team was
Oh,
losing.
that was the Brazilians, yeah.
They were losing 7-0 at this time when this ball came over, which was actually coming into my hands. Someone tipped it out of my hands, and I was.
Tell us, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
So the ball was kicked, and then the guy in front of him tipped the ball, and the guy behind me, I was on the aisle seat, so I came out into the aisle. And the guy behind me had it right in his hands, but he dropped it right into me. And I immediately stuffed it under my seat. Because I knew...
Show us what you did. Don't show us what you did. Come on.
Took the ball.
Right under it. I looked up, there was a steward right in front of me. And my dad was like, oh, we're getting this ball out of here.
Also, a lot of fans were trying to get the ball off us.
I heard that a lot of Brazilian fans, and I have a lot of Brazilian people here in Quincy who own restaurants and bars, and they say they have very sharp knives and they would have loved to cut that ball off.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was responsible for some heartache over there at the World Cup this year, wasn't it?
This is, can I just feel it?
It's got a chip inside it for the goal line technology also.
Kevin's just pointed out, all soccer balls now have chips in them, so it says when it's going to a goal and it verifies the goal. So this is the actual ball, it's not one that's been made up. And you know, the story behind it, what dad doesn't want to take the son or the daughter to some sports event, some movie, horseback riding, you know, catch a ball, see the Fairy Queen? It's a. I never had this happen to me when I was a kid. Man, my father came back hammered from the bloody war. You know, we had for balls. We'd take rags and we'd tie them all together and put string on them, and we played them. We weren't catching $100,000 balls.
Absolutely.
In flying on B-71 or whatever it is, jets to foreign countries, sitting down in seats at the greatest game and having the ball land in your hip. We didn't have dreams like that. We just didn't, but also it couldn't have happened to
There is a Red Sox part to it also.
There's a Red Sox?
Yeah, because the backpack I had on was a Red Sox backpack, which came in very handy. I was carrying my iPad in it, and I used to cover it with a flag. I had an Irish flag with me. So we put it in the backpack, tied it around his back, and I tied the Irish flag around him, and we walked out of the stadium.
Right.
With a nice memento.
No, and if anybody
Nice
would have got,
memento indeed.
if anybody would have got knocked off, it would have been Olsen.
Well, as I said to Ash, you know, if we get mugged, give them your money, but don't give them the ball.
No, but that's a great story, and I'm real proud of you, Olsen, and it's fantastic.
It's a perfect story to wrap up as well with, you know, the whole point of the family, you know, the two of them getting to go over there, and then that's what football's all about, really. That's what it is, you know. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
It was your grandfather that took you. It was my grandfather that took me, you know. And when he took me down there, the spy and cop were ashes. That's what it was made of, and they let the military people stand on the ashes because it was the wettest part of the ground. And they'd have in the winter, you know, the barrels, and they put the ash in coke. You know, coke. They burned the coke, and then when it was burnt, they threw it in the wet ground, and that's where the cop was, and that's where the soldiers, they could come back and stand free. But yeah, my grandfather took me there, and I've been ever since. And I never caught a ball like that, but I did play for the Merseybeat 11, a rock and roll soccer team. I did play at Fenway at Anfield, and I went up with Sylvester, who used to play for for Liverpool under Shankly, and Shankly let him go, and Terry Sylvester became a member of the Hollies, a big pop star. So then we go up and pick Bill Shankly up and take Shankly to games and hear about them. Yeah. And Terry also wrote part of the songs, like The Fields of Anfield. He was in on that.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah. He went to Blue Jeans, and they had Hippie Hippie Shake. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Then he went to the Hollies, and then after that, went back taking Bill to the football grounds in a limo, and it was grand. Yeah. And Bill would give us a say. I don't go into that stuff. Anyway, anything else to say, boys?
No, I think you said it all, Frank.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think you might want to be doing another show?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No. Well, I'd like to say, you know, about Quincy. Oh, we've got a celebrity here tonight. Did you know?
No.
We've got the big time. We had a lot of competition for this celebrity. It was Ian Gunnis that went out and interviewed people. He interviewed the mayor of Quincy to become a celebrity. Tommy Coker, so we put him on the list. Duval Patrick was the one, and we emailed, who's that guy that got one piece of Liverpool, LeBron James. We emailed him, so we had a whole stack of people that wanted to come and be the first celebrity test. You know what my wife said? Get somebody who's gone viral on the Facebook or the internet, and that's the way you get a celebrity today. So we got a Quincy celebrity that got 4.5 million hits, Kev.
Oh, wow.
Yes, an Irishman too.
Oh, of course.
How about that? So this here is going to be
the first LFC celebrity member.
Kilroy.
Kilroy.
Kilroy was here.
Okay.
I love it. Well done. Welcome to the studio, Kilroy.
An Irishman from Kildare. 4.5 million hits his website.
What? No scouts.
Me and my wife have been involved with Kilroy for a lot of years, and up to last week he had 4.5 million hits
Wow.
on the website. And my buddy Andrew is going to come and take a picture of us here with it, and we're going to put it on the website of Kilroy website, and that's the 4.5 million people to come and be Liverpool fans.
Brilliant.
How's that? But he deserves it. Just, you got your camera ready? Yeah.
We'll wrap that up.
We're wrapped up. We're waiting for the credits.
Perfect.
We can sit here and talk about what the people in the back there.
4.5 million hits.
It's not bad.
1.5 million.
No, seriously.
Have you seen a lot of these
That's,
magazines as well?
We're finished, aren't we?
Yeah. We just talked about the credits.